Thursday, June 18th, 2026 at exactly almost 11 p.m. Okay? Totally. And I had a session today with Francisco. And we were getting to a point about my story, you know? Because some would call me a Judas. Totally. They would say I'm a psycho crazy. But anyway, the point was, I got a AIDS diagnosis back in 1989 in December, right before Christmas, actually. It came to me in epiphany on Thanksgiving Day with Jeffrey Robert Bowers, who gave it to me, unfortunately, on Thanksgiving. And I said, "You have AIDS and HIV, don't you? Really?" And he turned about 6 shades of green. Definitely at least 6 shades of green. "How did you know that?" I said, "I don't know, I just know." And I looked at my son Jake, I said, "Oh God, he's not going to live. I hope Lucas doesn't have it too." Oh my God almighty, on Thanksgiving, good God help me. Anyway, getting back to Francisco today, because I got a death certificate in Christmas, actually, for myself, my son Jacob, and my ex-husband Jeffrey. In that day, in 1989, you didn't live with AIDS and HIV. Do you really? No, you don't. It's a death certificate, certainly. So I had to get quite comfortable with death. All these years I've been waiting to die. All these years. And you get quite comfortable with it. When I was having my gastric bypass surgery, and I'm sitting there and I'm in Walmart, and I run into Deacon Tom and Carol, his wife, already, with the St. Patrick, St. Joseph's Church in Raton, New Mexico. And I'm going through this, gastric bypass, and 1 in 200 die having it done, right? And I said, "Hey, Tom," I said, "the odds aren't very good. 1 in 200 die having the surgery done." He said, "You're not going anywhere." I said, "Well, Tom," I said, "it's not dying that scares me, it's living." Totally. And then I was having, that was in, I had my first gastric bypass in, I tried to remember actually, 2008. Yes, and I finished up my surgeries in 2009. Anyway, and I lost all the weight, and I looked great. Totally. 38 double Ds, but that's what God gave me. I didn't add to it or take away. Anyway, so I was having my session with Francisco today at Santa Fe AIDS Foundation. Safe. It's a great place. Anyway, and because dying, what I said to Deacon Tom is, I said, Tom, I said, I'm having my gastric bypass, 1 in 200 people die. I said, it's not dying that scares me, it's living, actually. He said, "Really?" It's living that scares me. Dying doesn't scare me. I did it when I was 8 years old in that accident, really. And I said, so dying doesn't scare me. Living scares me more than dying. So in my session with Francisco, coming full circle today on, let me check the time and the date again. I know it's Thursday. It's 11:13 p.m. on Thursday, June, if I can see it with my new eyes, 18th, actually, Thursday. And I'm going out to get the alignments in just a few minutes. I don't want to get too long-winded. But anyway, so today, Francisco and I came to a conclusion. Well, since you have no fear of dying, why are you afraid of living? Wow, that nailed me. He says, "You've been so comfortable waiting to die since 1989. Now you get an opportunity to live. What does that feel like? Are you afraid of living? Really living? Are you? Shit. Or are you a pussy?" Sorry to use that analogy, but yeah, and he had a very good point, because I've been living like I've been dying for the last, since 1989. You do the math. It's very simple. Almost 40 years now. I've been living like I'm dying. Well, why don't I live like I'm living rather than living like I'm dying? Because obviously, if I'm lying, I'm dying, right? I'm still frickin' here. So I must not be lying. I'm telling the truth like Yeshua and Judas Iscariot. actually. And Mary Magdalene, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, you know, now I have to not be afraid of living. That's a weird, stagnant thing. What do you do with what life is going to give you? Well, that's where we're getting to. Love you, loves. I just wanted to get that for posterity. Be digging it, and I'm praying you and me and everybody find a new way. Totally. Love you, lovelies.